It's back like it never left. Today, we are taking the conversation on preserving the climate, coming almost a month after the Africa Climate Summit that took place here in Nairobi. But as we prepare to go to COP28, just what exactly should we be talking about? Today, we will be talking about preserving and restoring our ecosystems here in the country and beyond. On set, I will be having guests from the Nairobi Rivers Commission. I will also be having someone who's dealing with educating the masses and also taking that advantage to be able to develop. But now, before we get to that conversation now, the Ministry of Water and Sanitation now hopes to complete a cleanup exercise of the heavily polluted Nairobi River by December 2023, despite previous attempts to restore the country's and county's water bodies hitting a snag. The government, through the Ministry of Water, has expressed confidence in its cleanup strategy that leverages use of communities living along the river to help in rejuvenating it. Gloria Milimo with that report.
The Nairobi River, a flowing mess of raw sewage and other contaminants, a muck that poses a threat to the health and well-being of the residents. From the failed previous attempts, it appears that restoring the county's river is not a walk in the park. However, the government now, through the Ministry of Water and Sanitation, says its cleanup initiative is on. It has segmented the river into 6 parts for the exercise. It says it will leverage the use of communities living along the river to take lead in its restoration. Out of the 40 kilometers, only 15 kilometers of the river have been cleaned. The government says it is seeking to restore the ecosystem of rivers in Nairobi by December 2023. Years of pollution have made the river a display of open disregard for the environment as individuals and businesses continue discharging untreated effluent and toxic waste into the river.
We are very much aware of the products that come from this river basin. We are the consumers, whether you live there or not. So when we are talking about public health issues, when we are talking about the complaints that come from our counties about the cancer cases that are linked to the river basin, we are all involved. And this is the reason we are here to do this together, because we are all involved. It is not just an issue for the communities that live along the river.
To counter these wanton acts of pollution, the Nairobi Rivers Commission says it will require at least 22 billion shillings to achieve this dream.
Catchment protection and restoration, mapping and reclaiming the riparian land, waste to rivers, and here looking at solid waste, sewerage, industrial and institutional waste, and drainage and hydrology. So those are what we are calling the immediate activities to address the pollution to the rivers and protect the catchment areas.
Through the commission, the government hopes to reclaim rivers that empty their waters into the Nairobi River. 4 counties, including Kiambu, Machakos, and Makueni, were selected to participate in the restoration activities of the Nairobi Rivers Commission. The cleanup of Nairobi River has seen its best and worst. Currently, the state of this river has been worsened.
If I get the resources I'm looking for, and I'm sure, I have no doubt I'm going to get it, this city in 3 years will be different.
The late former Environment Minister John Michuki seems to be the only one who came close to achieving a total cleanup of this river. Another man who came a distant second is the late Mutula Kilonzo. During his tenure as Environment Minister, Kilonzo promised to swim in this river. This never came to be, as he died without realizing it. As the city prepares for high-level delegates for the Africa Climate Summit, the Nairobi River remains a flowing testament of Kenya's dark commitment to the environment. Gloria Milimu, KTN News.
And yes, indeed, the Africa Climate Summit came. Nairobi River remains being a subject matter. Remember, Mutula Kilonzo wanted to swim. The Nairobi Rivers Commission is also making sure that we are able to actually enjoy the scenery on that Nairobi River, but we shall be talking about that a little bit later. But now, according to the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, 80% of global food production is attributed to smallholders in rural areas of the developing world, with Africa and Asia contributing the highest percentages. However, the slow uptake of the technology and limited internet access present challenges in unlocking the full potential of agriculture in Africa. Our reporter Lois Musumba interacted with rural farmers in Kilifi County and captured their expectations regarding the rollout of digital farmer profiling and documentation by the Kilifi County government in partnership with the national government, and how the data ecosystem will unlock the agriculture sector. Here's the report.
Agricultural sector is the backbone of Kenya's economy, contributing approximately 33% of the national gross domestic product (GDP). The sector employs more than 70% of the rural population. However, agricultural productivity has stagnated for years. According to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, the adoption of technology could increase Africa's agricultural production by up to 75%.
The objective of NAFCDP mainly is to increase the emphasis of marketing, value addition and commercialization of produce within the counties. And specifically in Kilifi County, we are focusing on 5 value chains. We have mango, we have cashew nut, we have poultry, we have dairy and beekeeping, which is apiculture.
Frida Kazo, a poultry farmer, is far from making a profit 2 years into the poultry business. Access to sustainable agricultural information hinders her timely decision making.
Hiyo safari ya kwanza niliona ikiwa nzuri, lakini kama mwaka jana mwisho hiyo wakanitia hasara. Wale kuku bila chanjo tayari huwa wanaweza kuletea matatizo.
For Joyce Wanjiku, her dairy farming has seen her break financial barriers in previous years, but with climate change in play, nothing is coming forth from her farm.
Ufugaji ukipata ng'ombe zile nzuri, unaweza kuwa umejisaidia. Lakini sasa unaona hata hizi zetu si breed ile nzuri. Kwa sababu breed nzuri inataka pesa nyingi.
In order to bridge the gap between farmers and information, the county government of Kilifi, in partnership with the national government, has changed its approach with a strategic shift towards the collection, storage, and management of farmers' data. This initiative is aimed at empowering individual farmers to gain insights into their farming practices, preferences, and challenges.
As the data is being collected to our farmers, we'll be able to know and understand how many acreage are our farmer having or covering with this specific value chain. What are the gaps? How is their marketing structures about? This data will help us to know the need also in terms of financial of our farmers. And so when our farmers are getting into SACCOs, they're able to know how much they're going to loan into the SACCOs and again improve into the production of their main resources.
Kuna baadhi ya maswali ambayo nitakuuliza wewe kama mkulima.
Juma Changawa is one of the field officers trained in farmers profiling. His target is to capture all farmers in the digital database.
Kuna ukulima tofauti na hiyo ndo maana ya hili zoezi kwamba kuna usajili wa wakulima. Kwa hivyo kuna wakulima kama nitakavyoorodhesha. Mkulima wa kwanza ni ule mkulima wa mifugo kama vile ng'ombe, mbuzi, kuku, bata na hata ndege wengine wa kufugwa.
In this exercise, I'm in charge of maps and also the ODK system. The ODK system is just a backup which we are using alongside the KIAMIS. And in this exercise, we have an aim of conducting 100% registration of farmers.
These technology solutions will enable a communication channel between farmers and stakeholders to improve collaboration and farm productivity.
Hii data tukipata mwanzo itakuwa ni jambo muhimu. Sekta ya ukulima itaweza kujua ni mambo gani wayape kipaumbele. Na mambo ni mengi. Kuna mambo na tujue budget, waekeze pesa ngapi kwa mambo ya ukulima na ukulima upi.
Kilonzo Masiuko from Chamari village in Magarini Ward has been a seasonal farmer of horticultural crops for years, and access to markets for his farm produce poses challenges, especially for his perishable farm produce.
Unaona ya kwamba hao waandikishaji wa mananasi imetufikia kwa wakulima. Naona pia tutaweza kusaidika. Maana kama tumepata na dryers ama tukipata na mashine za kutengeneza juice, inamaanisha hakuna mali yetu itaharibika shambani. Tutakuwa tunaweza kutoa ile ambayo mnunuzi amewacha, tunaenda tunaitengeneza, tunauza kama juice. Na kama kuna kukausha ile ya kukausha pia tunakausha pia, tunangoja ile wakati ambao mananasi yatakuwa yako pia, na pia tunauza kwa bei nzuri.
For Kinga Katana, a farmer from Shakahula, despite the availability of water for irrigation from the river Galana, the lack of capital to purchase advanced irrigation technology has limited his ability to realize the full potential of his land.
Tunajua ukulima unasaidia watu sana, lakini changamoto ni serikali itujaribu kutusaidia na hizi pembejeo hizi.
From the lack of access to information related to climate change to sustainable agricultural practices, the data ecosystem aims to enable stakeholders in agriculture value chains to address a significant portion of the issues facing the sector.
This exercise is very important to help us prepare us on getting the baseline information of our farmer where they are at now, so that even as we come in sensitizing more about the same, then our farmers will be well known and will have prepared them prior for us implementing the programs.
Farmer profiling provides valuable insights into their operations, such as crop yields, resource use, and production practices, enabling them to optimize their resource use, reduce costs, and improve profitability. It will also help farmers prove their creditworthiness to secure financial credits. For KTN News, I'm Levis Msumba.
Thank you, Levis, for that report. And now, yes, technology is one of those areas that must be considered as we talk about restoring our ecosystem. And now, as the world continues to deal with the effects of climate change and governments coming up with measures aimed at changing the tide, just what is our responsibility as citizens? What must we do to play our roles in this fight? President William Ruto, in making sure that the destroyed ecosystems are restored, formed the Nairobi Rivers Commission. Just how bad is the situation? What is needed to restore our rivers to their lost glory? What is our collective responsibility as consumers and dependents of these resources? In studio with me is Dr. Pamela Olet, Chairperson, Nairobi Rivers Commission, and Victor Murage, CEO, Caring for Environment for Development, and Upendo Mwakusia, climate activist from Tanzania, who will be joining us online. And now let's come straight to studio, and I start with you, Dr. Olet. Now, rivers are an important aspect of this entire conversation on climate change. And as we look into Nairobi River, to be specific, it is a sad story. Just how bad is it?
Thank you, Dennis. First of all, I want to take this opportunity to thank His Excellency the President on his wisdom to create Nairobi Rivers Commission. I call it wisdom because I see this as a service to humanity. It is not just a service to the Nairobians. Where Nairobi is in the Maasai word, it was a place of cool waters. It is no longer a place of cool waters. Actually, as was put by one of the newspapers in 2019, they are rivers of poison. And the surveillance we've done across the river basin is actually a river of poison. Heavy pollution, a heavy degradation. The water is not useful for anything. It is heavily polluted. And the basin, as has been put before in our interactions, is not just about Nairobi. We have Nairobi as a county. We have Kiambu. We have Machakos, we have Kajiado, we have Makueni. Now the dire consequence the people who are living downstream, that is Makueni, Machakos, are suffering from is the heavy pollution from Nairobi. We have domestic pollution, we have industrial pollution, we have solid waste pollution in the rivers. So the situation as it is actually dire and is calling for an immediate action, and hence the creation of the Nairobi Rivers Commission to return that sanity to our resilient city of Nairobi. Yes.
Now let me come to you, Victor. As we talk about restoring Nairobi rivers to what they used to be, that means that the citizens have to play their role in this. And then this comes the change of mindset. What do Nairobi citizens, and in extension as well, need to know on the importance of these rivers and having them clean and not being a poisonous river as we speak?
So thank you, Dennis, for having us here. And that's a good question that you have asked. I'll start by saying that whenever I go through police stations, I've never seen a police station that just has that do not urinate here. And I think it's in our culture that whenever we go into our rivers, I think we should know that if we don't board with our rivers, and this is one of the challenges we have as a country. We have, especially in Nairobi and the other counties that are in Nairobi, is that in fact when you poison Nairobi River, please note that the sukuma wiki that comes from all downstream will come back to your kitchen. So I think it's for us to have a mindset that we should take care of our environment. I would recommend nowadays, instead of even doing the nyumbakumi on policing, people should be doing nyumbakumi on who is actually polluting the river. So I think it's on us to actually tell the citizens, educate our citizens that when you pollute the river, when you take the whole sewer to a river, please note that you are killing Kenyans. Yes.
All right, then let's just go to Dodoma and join our guest who's joining us online. And in this conversation, the youth are very important when it comes to issues to do with restoring our ecosystems. From where you sit, what do you think that the youth need to do to make sure that they also play their role in changing the situation on ground?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead. We apologize.
What you can do.
Yeah, we apologize for that technical hitch, but we shall be getting back to them a little bit later. If you can hear me, what is the role of the youth in this entire conversation on restoring our ecosystems?
Okay, so what I can say, first of all, we know how the ecosystem is supportive to our daily lives. For we youth, we have a long way to go. We have got big dreams, but then the present and the future generation depends on us. So I think we have great role to play. We have a lot of responsibilities that we're supposed to play and act in order to save the present and the future generations. So this is because the ecosystem provides different advantages. It has a lot of significances to we youth, starting with employment opportunities. We can see through the destruction of the biodiversity or extinction or endangered biodiversity or endangered species in our ecosystems, they have led to different bad situations in our communities, including loss of the species that would have helped maybe the present generation in different purposes, such as medicinal purposes, such as in agriculture for food production for both animals and we humans. So we can see how the destructions in ecosystem can lead to various negative impacts. But then what we youth are we supposed to do? I think it's enough with making noises online and in different platforms. It is time now we youth, we have to act. We have to be more practical. We have to show what we are capable of doing. We always request and ask people to support us. We always ask our governments, leaders to give us support. But asking for support is not enough. People and our leaders and the whole support system has to see what potential do we have. So I think this is the time for us to unleash our potentials. We have to show what we have, the capabilities that we have towards
that the youth have to show what it is they have to offer and that there is need for support. But now let me come to you, Daktari. As we talk about this, you were appointed by the president in his own wisdom to see the need of restoring this. Since your appointment, what are some of the changes that you have seen, the problems that are there, and what needs to be done for us to be able to restore Nairobi, to restore Nairobi River to be a place of cool waters?
Thank you, Dennis. Since you were appointed, that is on 2nd December 2022, then it was followed by a launch of the commission in February 2023. We embarked on knowing who are our stakeholders. So we interacted with communities, we've interacted with the state agencies, because we have different responsibilities placed in different state agencies. For example, NEMA, Environment. We have the Nairobi Waters doing the sewerage system. We did the Earthy Waters. So we've held also stakeholder coordination meetings just to understand how we need to plan to restore the river basin ecosystem. And on this basis, I would like to thank the Office of the President once again, the Office of the Deputy President. They availed their staff to help us with our stakeholders to develop what we can call a plan. This plan of action, we have launched it. We launched it on 23rd of September by doing a cleanup with our stakeholders. Actually, the idea was to help the stakeholders find how they can implement these activities together. Why this is important is because with all these resources the government had and development partners' money put in this river, the status of the river has not changed. So there must be something that we needed to address differently, and that is coordination of the activities. So that becomes number one key point in our implementation plan. We have to coordinate ourselves, and that becomes a responsibility for the Nairobi Rivers Basin to map all the stakeholders, map their resources. It is not necessary that this money is sitting with the Nairobi Rivers Commission, but the money is with our stakeholders, but the activities must be coordinated by the Nairobi Rivers Commission so that we have a systematic way of dealing with the river, whether it is on waste management, whether it is on greening of the river basin or investments on the river basin. So we've come up with an action plan, which for Nairobi County, that has already been launched, but we're planning a bigger launch on 4th of November, where now all the 5 counties involved, that is Kajiado, Kiambu, Nairobi, Makueni, Machakos, they will all be represented, and we'll have the presidency commission the action plan, which is guiding the Nairobi River Basin regeneration. This includes the protection of catchment areas, which we are going to do with partnership with all the agencies concerned in protecting the catchment areas, including our communities who are passionately been in a small way protecting these catchment areas. We have the issues of solid and liquid waste, which we must do with a plan with the county governments of Nairobi and all other counties. So this plan we have developed together jointly with the 5 counties, and the implementation is what is going to be guided now after the commissioning by the presidency, so that each county is expected to use the action plan to implement their thematic areas, which also includes hydrology. It includes mapping of the riparian, because the encroachment of the riparian has been the key issues why the river basin has not been regenerated. So in the restoration of the ecosystem, we are going to use the action plan, and the goodwill that we have in the political class is the same goodwill that we have from the communities, and it is the same goodwill that we have from our development partners, because we have interacted. Yes.
And I'll come to you, Murage. As you talk about this, there is the issue of using technology in all these, meeting the communities and changing the mindset, involving everyone in these conversations. So as the plan is being launched, how do we make sure that people say in Dagoretti who have abattoirs and are releasing the effluents into the river that is going downstream, the factories that are along the river basin releasing their waste into the river, that they know it is wrong, that there is enforcement of already existing policies, and where there is lacking policies, that these policies are put in place to make sure that we just take control of that which belongs to us.
Yeah, thank you for the question. And what I would like to say is we have been engaging communities within the basin. And that is even members of the national government. And there has been very positive results. Pamela can attest that we went to one of the areas in Ruai, and we found the DCC was very passionate about the environment. So what we are doing is that we are also involving, especially national government, from an NGO perspective, so that even the communities, telling somebody that if you are from Dagoretti and you are in the abattoir, what you need to do is that this is what you are doing. Can you come up with policies? Can you come as a group? Come up with systems that you can actually even police yourself. You can come up with a pre-treatment mechanisms before you dispose anything back to the water. Can you have something? And I think NEMA has been very, when we had meetings with NEMA, they have been very supportive, and they would like even actually to go and train them on how to do those things like pre-treatment. We found even in some areas, people are even pouring hot water on from, this is from the factories. So it's just a matter of telling them, or actually reminding them that what you are doing is affecting your neighbor. What you are doing, because I think from my first statement when I said that some of these things should actually even be taken to CBC. The kids should start learning, actually, that if this is a specific, it's a plastic, this is the sort of paper that you should be putting somewhere. I think it's about, the whole thing about the climate change is about how we behavior change.
Yes.
If I see a liver, that liver, I can see it as, should see it as a tourist attraction site. I should not be seeing a liver somewhere that I'm going to dump or or actually, just because most of the people, they do that because of lack of, nobody tells them. When you see somebody from NEMA, even this person from NEMA, we need to have the mindset. Tell that person, whatever you're doing is wrong. If I find you doing this tomorrow, please note there'll be.
And Murage, I agree with you. But now let's just go to Upendo, who's joining us from Tanzania. And Upendo, now we hear a lot being said about everyone coming on board. You are from Tanzania. Is this the same message that is being sent there? Are the youth involved in these communities and even the government?
Okay, thank you very much. So what I can say, there is huge difference from previous years to what's happening right now. So the youth inclusion keeps increasing day to day on these issues, on climate change issues, on environment conservation. As we know, climate change, environment conservation, they all affect ecosystem restoration and the whole ecosystem in general. So when it comes to conservation of the ecosystems and restoration of the ecosystems, the country believes on youth, and we can see it through the way we are being engaged, we are being involved, although we still need more inclusion. So, and I think it's a task for we youth to keep enhancing trust to the government, because it's very difficult for them to keep including us, for them to keep supporting us on these issues if we won't show our potential, if we won't show our readiness towards accelerating the actions on climate change, on ecosystem restoration, and all the things in it. So it gives us hope, and it catalyzes our image to keep on involving ourselves in these issues, to keep on taking part and playing our roles perfectly, because as we see, the government keeps supporting. It gives us hope that the government sees our efforts and it's ready to support our moves. And as for me, I can say the issue is we have to keep fighting, we have to keep doing. We have to make sure that the work has to be seen, not just by the government, but from grassroots levels, from grassroots communities. People have to see the work that we do, and inclusion from grassroots levels to everyone, every member of the community. But we youth being at the forefront, I think, can speed up the restoration systems. We know how climate change affects the ecosystem. We know how climate action can help towards restoration of ecosystems, for example, through the tree planting activities and other activities. So I think youth being at the forefront, we believe in the power that we have, the innovations that we have, the spirit that we have towards making change. I think through those ones, if we keep on pushing and we keep putting efforts on those, we can easily reach our targets, and we can easily conserve and keep this planet safe for the present, the future generations.
Jupendo from Tanzania. But now let's take a short commercial break. When we come back, let us talk about what it takes to restore Nairobi River and the ecosystems that we have, what factories need to do, but all that and much more after this short commercial break.